We're live on YouTube. Let me just see if we're live here. I got to make sure that we're live on YouTube. Yes, we are. Okay, live on YouTube. We are indeed live on YouTube. FCP TV Live. We're going to talk about the iPhone 13 event Apple just had, and I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes, I'll be back. All right? Thank you very much. Let me just do something here. Countdown. people ask me what band that is. That's my band. That's an original instrumental that I wrote. That's one of them. And we also do a couple of other instrumentals. You know, as much as I've been on YouTube and stuff, I still get strikes, music strikes, even though I bought libraries and stuff. So I said, no, I'm just going to do my own music that I recorded, that I own the rights to. I'll use that rather than worry about the technicalities of trying to get a strike taken care of, which are a pain in the butt sometimes. So we got a lot of comments here. Patrick Masters. Yes, I'm not sure what that yes means. Cinematic mode looks tasty. We're going to talk all about that. Alexis May says ProRes on iPhone 13 Pro. They said ProRes. Yeah, they said ProRes video. We're going to talk all about that. Let's ease into it here. I have a couple of clips from the event that I'm going to play. I can't play too many because I forget which event it was, which one of these FCP TV lives that I did, and Apple did a strike against me. FCP TV Live is what you're watching here. If we're lucky, we'll get a phone call from somebody a little bit later to talk about what's going on with Final Cut Pro itself. Final Cut Pro actually was on the screen for a second or two, right? They were actually on the screen, so we'll have to see what's going on there. But anyway, we're going to be talking all about the iPhone 13 and what it has to do with Final Cut Pro and what do we think and the whole 9 yards. We're live to discuss iPhone 13. Another hello. We got people watching from all around the globe, of course. On screen when they talked about ProRes. So you might ask, am I going to order one? Of course. Of course I'm going to order one. My iPhone 12 Pro Max has been my main shooting camera since it came out. I have it with me all the time. I can shoot in 4K. There's all kinds of things. Now I can shoot in ProRes, the new 13. So you order it this Friday, it comes out next Friday. You'll get it. If you order it this Friday, it'll come out next Friday. It sounds good to me. Yep, Pro Max for me, absolutely. So let's go into a little bit at a time. We have a little bit of time to talk about it. I'm glad you're all joining FCP TV Live. You can also join Final Cut Pro Radio where we talk about these things as well. So, I have this enormous camera rig that I'm going to be coming on talking about at some point. It's not made for an iPhone, but I've adapted my iPhone 12 Pro Max to this thing. I've got Pro Audio hookup. I can record with 3 separate mics. I can put lenses on if I want to. I have a Moment lens case, and I use Moment telephoto lens. I do have a question about some of the specs on that new iPhone. It said 3 times optical zoom, but there's a caveat about that. We're going to go into that when we get into the details. So I have this giant, well, it's not giant, but it's fairly good-sized rig that I use. It's I forget what company it is, but it's a nice rig that's meant for my GH5 that I use. It doesn't depend on Bluetooth. I've had such unluck with using Bluetooth gimbals. They just disconnect and the phone goes, choop. This one doesn't depend on that. It does its own system. Philip Allen says, I saw Filmic Pro on screen and LumaFusion twice. I saw LumaFusion once. And then I think we saw iMovie, right? We saw iMovie a couple times. Usually they show LumaFusion quite a bit, but this time I think I saw LumaFusion absolutely the one time, and then we saw iMovie. Good, they're promoting their own app. That's cool. That's very, very cool. So, all right, so let's get into it. Let's go double take from Filmic. Yes, double take. Yes, it was double take. I saw that as well. That was for the iPad mini, I think. During the iPad mini, I use double take all the time. I love using double take. Record two camera, front camera and back camera at the same time as separate files, and I go into post, whether I use Final Cut or whether I use Resolve, and I use those sometimes. So it's not just me talking from behind the camera to in front of the camera. People can actually see me talking and asking questions in a little small frame, and then the person that I'm interviewing on the main frame. So, yep, I'm excited. So I changed the graphic. Here's the graphic. This is the graphic that I had. Let me just take that countdown off. Take that off. So I changed this to have two smiley faces. That's what I have now. Let's check the bird feeder real quick. Bird feeder looks good. Not much happening in the backyard. So we're going to do a couple of short clips from the Apple presentation because, like I said, I've been dinged by Apple before for using clips that are too long. So let's go over there and watch one of those. Let's see which one we want to do first. So here's one of the main things that they talked about. These are short clips. I've put them in a frame, so it's not quite recognizable, but this is the little short clip. Let's see this first one.
With major updates across the wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto cameras, it's an incredible device for filmmaking.
It's an incredible device for filmmaking. This is by far the best iPhone for filmmakers that Apple has ever put out. Now, I'm buying one, period. I should get it a week from Friday. If things go as planned, I'll order it Friday and I'll get it a week from Friday. I'll do an unboxing and some tests and things so that everybody see if you're not going to get one. I'm going to get the iPhone 13 Pro Max with 1 terabyte SSD because I have a 512 terabyte now, the highest level. If I'm shooting on ProRes, which I intend to do not all the time, don't do it all the time, but most of the time, if I shoot on ProRes, I'm going to need 1 terabyte of storage space, right? I'm wondering if there's going to be anything different about this Pro version of ProRes for the iPhone versus the regular version of ProRes. Is any kind of a difference? I don't know. Is it ProRes regular? Is it ProRes LT? It's not ProRes HQ, I'm sure. It's either ProRes regular or ProRes LT, I would presume. Philip Allen says, I saw you went from sad to happy. Well, I had a happy. Let's go back to that graphic real quick. I had a happy in the upper left-hand corner above the Apple, and then I had a confused on the lower right-hand corner above the Apple thing. But once I saw the presentation, I switched them both to happy sunglassed little emojis. Yari, my friend Yari Innanen says, the press release says the ability to edit the depth of field will be available in future updates to iMovie Final Cut Pro. Well, we know in future updates coming to Final Cut Pro, I'm saying it's going to be 10.6. I've been saying that for 6 months or whatever. So I'm saying 10.6. We'll see what happens. They could, Apple can do what they want to do. It could be a smaller update to 10.5, further along. But I think it's going to be 10.6. We'll see what happens. That's good to be invented. So the press release says the ability to edit the depth of field will be available in a future update to iMovie Final Cut Pro. Let's go and see if we can find that. So that's one of the things. Not only did they have the new cinematic mode. Do I have a video of that? Let me see if I have a video. I don't know if I do or not. Camera updates, ProRes, 815, 4K, 1 terabyte. I don't think I have the cinematic mode. I don't think I have the cinematic. But what it does, it's recording the person in focus, and then the person behind you or the background is now shallow, and I guess it's using AI for that. I guess it's using AI for that, right? That's what I would think it's doing. But Yari says the press release says the ability to edit the depth of field will be available in future updates to iMovie Final Cut Pro. So not only can you shoot with a shallow depth of field, but you'll be able to take that video file into Final Cut and iMovie and switch it. Switch the depth of field, what's in focus and what's not in focus. That is absolutely incredible. The videos that they showed they filmed with the iPhone 13 Pro were incredible. They were absolutely incredible and cinematic. Now, they also have the macro, something to do with the macro version of the on the iPhone 13. Right now, I have a macro lens from Moment. I'll probably be selling that. I don't use it that much, and if the iPhone 13 has some kind of ability to do that natively, I'm not going to need it. So Nathan says, cool that it shoots ProRes, but what would be nice, hopefully, if it will actually play ProRes files. That's true. That's true. It's shooting. Well, if it shoots them, you would think it would be able to play it at some point, right? Hello from Philly. ProRes playback with iOS 15 on iPhone 12. Good question. Don't know. So he says, ProRes in log. What type of log? I didn't see that. I did not see that. What's your take on cinematic video? Apple's own tech specs for the iPhone 13 say cinematic mode for recording videos with shallow depth of field, 30 frames at 1080p at 30 frames per second. I guess it uses more computational power doing the cinematic mode. It's almost like it records two different frames on top of each other. One's in focus on the front, one's blurry in the back, and that's why you'll be able to. The ability to edit those in post is absolutely astoundingly incredible. You not only shoot it, but you can edit which one's in focus and which one's not in a future version of Final Cut Pro and iMovie. Yeah, so 1080p at 30 frames per second. That, let's say maybe at some point that'll change with the software update or something to 4K or another frame rate. Who knows? But I think right now they're just when they put it out, it's going to be, the A15 is going to be struggling a little bit with that. So no 4K for cinematic mode yet. I don't know if that's a software update thing or not. So Nathan McAvoy says rack focus while shooting and afterwards. That's incredible. It's incredible that you can do it in post. What does that mean about the video file? It's a special video file. It's not a regular video file because you can't do that with regular video files, right? Right. I'm telling you. Let's go back to the web page for a second. So let's go to, here's the web page. Here's the web page. Let me pull this over here. So the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pro Max tech specs. Here we are in tech specs. Capacity, size, and weight. The display. I'm getting the 6.7, the super duper one. True tone, water splash resistant, chip 15. So the new Core 6-core CPU with 2 performance and 4 efficiency. I don't know what it has now. So here's one of the questions that I have. 3 times optical zoom in, 2 times optical zoom out. How does that work? If you zoom in 3 times optical, but you can only zoom back out 2, I'm confused. 6 times optical zoom range, that's all the way from the wide, the ultra wide to the digital zoom. So, I mean, not digital zoom, the optical zoom. What does that mean? You can only 3 times optical zoom in and 2 times optical zoom out. So you zoom in 3 times, and then you zoom out only 2. That seems weird to me because it's an optical zoom. It's not a digital zoom. Anyway. Portrait mode, advanced, yeah. All that stuff is good for photography. Photography styles was also something interesting, the photography styles. Of course, with photography, you have Apple ProRAW. Video recording, cinematic mode for recording videos with shallow depth of field. This is 1080p at 30 frames per second. That's really, really interesting. You can still record HDR video, Dolby Vision up to 4K at 60. 4K video, you have all the different frame rates. This also is interesting. 720p video at 30 frames per second. Why is 720p HD video recording limited to 30 frames per second? As a matter of fact, 1080p doesn't have 24 frames per second. 4K has 24, 25, 30, or 60, but you drop down to 1080p, you lose 24, and when you do 720p, you only have 30. I'm not sure what the heck that means. Why, when you're doing low resolution, are you losing frame rates? Frames per second, frame rates. I don't know. ProRes recording at 4K, 30 frames per second. And it's limited if you only have 128 gigabytes of storage. Dual optical image stabilization, telephoto and wide, sensor shift, optical stabilization for video wide. And once again, you have this 3 times optical zoom in, 2 times optical zoom out. How come one is one and one is the other? I don't understand why that's one way and one or the other. So, if the rack focus is not real lens movement, I'm not sure why they choose to make it mimic lens breathing when changing focus. We'll have to see what's going on there. The 2 focus points sounds like a multicam trick. It's a trap. I don't think it's a trap. So he says he assumes 4K cinematic will be for the iPhone 14. I think that could be updated with some kind of an update to the OS or the phone itself. Don't you think so? So no 24 for cinematic mode makes no sense. I have to agree with that, as Andres does. Well, it's amazing that they have the ability to edit it after the fact, to edit the rack focus or whatever you want to call it, cinematic mode after the fact. Let's see what else we have. Here we go. Web page. So, cinematic night mode, time-lapse video with stabilization, which is nice. So slow-mo video support for 1080p at 120 or 240. I shoot slow-mo at 240. Continuous autofocus, if that's what you want. Playback, zoom. Video formats, HEVC and H.264, which is what we have now. Stereo recording, which is nice. Sometimes it's mono. So they've changed a couple. Well, let's watch a couple videos. So we saw this one. Let's see. AR-15. A-15, not AR-15.
A15 Bionic adds hardware acceleration for ProRes.
So hardware acceleration for ProRes. Hardware acceleration, which is what the A15, you're going to need the A15 in order to shoot ProRes. You're not going to shoot it on an older camera. I'm going to take a little drink here. This is the backyard. This is all going to change later this year because all the leaves are going to be changing. I have a lot of oak trees and a lot of oak leaves that will be changing later. So let's go. What did I want to pull up here? So here's a picture. Let me pull this up. Do I have the graphics? Where's my graphics? Graphics. This is the only picture they showed of Final Cut Pro on screen. I don't think there's anything new there. This is Final Cut Pro. I don't know if this is a new version. I have no idea what that is. I don't know who the gentleman is. Last time I knew who it was Mark Bach. But this is the only picture they showed of Final Cut Pro. And let me see. What else is going on here? Yeah. They did show it. They did talk about a new version of Final Cut Pro, so that's very cool. Torgrim says hi from Norway. Did not see the event. Are we happy? We are very, very happy. The iPhone 13 checked every single box that I was expecting for the video portion. That's what I'm mostly interested in, and that's why I get a new iPhone. When they update the video capabilities, that's what I do. Only get ProRes up to 1080p 30 frames per second if you get the 128 gigabyte model. Yes. But I'm going to get the 1 terabyte model because I probably will be shooting mostly in ProRes, except if I'm doing like double take, that only shoots 1080p, front camera, back camera, or the cinematic mode, which only shoots 1080p. But that's probably H.264 or H.265. Quiet day at the ranch. Yes, in the backyard, yes. It is quiet. I didn't see many birds out there. No 4K ProRes with 128 gigabyte version. Better buy 256 or 512, or I'm going to get the 1 terabyte. Absolutely. Any hints of Final Cut Pro 11? That'll be in about 4 or 5 years. Final Cut Pro 10.6, we saw something on screen. They said there's a new version of Final Cut Pro coming out, so we'll see. Wi-Fi support will remain at Wi-Fi 6. No Wi-Fi 6E just yet. Do you have any place that has Wi-Fi 6E that you're working? Did Apple announce the new date for Final Cut Pro at MacBook Pro 16-inch? We'll be getting a call in a little while. We'll talk about that, that's going to happen. What iPhone apps will bring when ProRes is out? Well, we know that LumaFusion can do it. If it's well, first off, in order to play back ProRes, the iOS has to be updated, right? I don't think it can play ProRes at this point. No new MacBooks yet. We weren't expecting a MacBook announcement in September. We were expecting an iPhone event. It's exactly what we got. They did a great job. Great job with that. Let's see another video here. Camera updates.
We also have another Pro Video feature coming later this year, and that's ProRes Video.
So interesting to me that they call it ProRes Video. I don't know if it's going to be a special flavor that the iPhone deals with or whatever. Don't know if it's ProRes LT, ProRes regular. We don't know. We don't know what the data rate's going to be. We don't know any of those things. Andres says iPhone cannot play ProRes natively. VLC can on iOS, however. But that has to change, don't you think? If the iPhone is shooting ProRes, you're going to edit it at least with iMovie? I think. Maybe you thinking that's for export only? I don't think so. I think the iOS has to be updated to allow ProRes, and I think that's forthcoming. Likely a special flavor. I don't know if it's special. I mean, ProRes video. They called that ProRes video. I don't know, that distinguish it from something. I have a suspicion that it might be some special flavor of ProRes for the iPhone. That's what I'm thinking. Enjoyed the opening video? No, I don't think it's ProRes proxy. No. That would be a no. Absolutely not. Jacob Rush says, those transition and drone shots were awesome. Can we just talk about how Apple is raising the bar with video production and the events virtually they do? I have to say, as much as I like the live events and the audiences and stuff, they've been killing it with these virtual events. Of course, they have weeks and months to do them. And they can do a take and a take and a take and a take. One question I had was, how was Tim Cook mic'd? When they had the close-up shot of him, he didn't have any lapel mics on, as he does live. And then when they zoomed back out, you couldn't see any booms anywhere. So how does he have a hidden mic somewhere? I mean, a small little lapel somewhere under a shirt that you couldn't see? So Andres says, absolutely my take. It must play ProRes if it records it, maybe with iOS 4.15 coming forward, which is forthcoming. ProRes LT, but they didn't call it that. They called it ProRes Video. I think it's going to be a special flavor for the iPhone that they've been developing. There has been much advancements in ProRes over the years. Probably just a slower bitrate version. Yeah, that would be more like ProRes LT. He had the leave under his shorts. You mean the lapel? A lapel. I didn't see it. I looked for it. It had to have been there. The audio was very clear. When they panned out, there was no boom mic anywhere to be seen. So I presume it was hidden very, very well. So they have something that I did when I worked at the National Archives. I was the main audio mixer down there for a long time for live events. I did Obama and I did Michelle Obama and I did a bunch of, Ken Burns and stuff. When I did an important event, I always used two lapels with two separate transmitters. In case one went out, I have a backup. I kept one turned down and I have the other one for the backup. Apple used to do that same thing when they did the live events. They had two lapels. I've noticed that. Being an audio mixer, I noticed things like that. All right, let's go back to video. Another iPhone first. 4K.
You can now record up to 4K at 30 frames per second in ProRes.
So 4K and 30 frames per second in ProRes. So 4K, 30 frames per second in ProRes. If you're shooting cinematic mode, it's 1080p, 30 frames per second. Andre says he used to work at the White House Communications Agency. Pity we never crossed paths then. If you were part of when Obama came to the National Archives, I was there doing the mixing. And also, I actually introduced Michelle Obama at the National Archives. I did the voice of God when she was there. But I've also done, other people as well. But that was in the rotunda, very, very echoey. It's a very difficult place to get good sound. But the White House had two wired SM57s. They didn't have any wireless mics for when the president spoke there, so that was interesting. ProRes 25p or 24p natively, it says it's, well, I don't know if it's 1080p, but 4K. 4K. He says, very nice. I did mostly overseas. Now, I worked in D.C. I worked right down on Pennsylvania Avenue, right down halfway between the White House and the U.S. Capitol. That's where the National Archives is. All righty. What else do we have here? Let's go back to web page. Apple Pro Raw, but we already know about that. Face ID, Apple Pay, Apple Card, So if you're going to get one, you can save 3% by using your Apple Card if you have it. It automatically saves 3%. True depth camera. So there's been some changes to the cameras, improvements, they said, that amazing stuff. I mean, that's why I'll be getting one. There's definitely enough things that have happened with this version to allow me to get one. Plus, like I said, my iPhone camera, I have the i12 Pro Max. I have it in a Moment lens case right now, so I can just clip on lenses. I have two different gimbals for this. One's a lightweight gimbal, the Smooth Q3, I think. I broke the bottom, ratcheting it down too tight. I had to put something else on. Let me see. I just got a message from Brad. See what he has to say. He says, are you going to get an iPhone Pro Max? He asked if I was going to get the iThrone. Our friend Brad Olson, who did we were co-editors on the documentary that he did about Final Cut Pro. I don't know if he's ever going to update it. I don't know if he will or not. But if he does, I'll be glad to help him once again. So the other things that are going on, what else do we have? Let me just check here. The other things that are going on are... So regarding the FCP Cameo, do they typically show it as if working with Blackmagic panels? They aren't currently compatible, are they? Good question. Let's look at that again. Where's the graphics? Let's look at that again. Are those Blackmagic panels? I guess they are. But is that... It's Final Cut Pro, right? Yeah, it's Final Cut Pro for sure. What's on the left-hand side? Is that also Final Cut Pro? That's a good question. Good catch there, Nathan. He says, regarding the FCP Cameo, do they typically show it working with the Blackmagic panels? They aren't currently compatible, are they? Good question. Very good question. Good catch there. I wasn't even paying attention. Increase NIT's help for outside recording. They absolutely do. Although on my big camera rig, which I have for my iPhone, it's a giant camera rig. Matter of fact, let me go get it and I'll show you. I actually made a sunscreen for that. Let me just go grab it real quick. Put you on the outdoor camera. I will be right back. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to, since I've been talking about this, look at this camera rig that I have set up. It's a, get what kind it is. I can't remember the brand names. But I have it set up. I can shoot with 3 separate microphones. I have a Sennheiser MKE 600 for front-facing talent. I have a Rode Wireless Go 2. I have a lapel for me, and I have a front-facing version of that. I have a small mixer on this thing. So I have a hardware volume controls for it. And I go in via SC6 into the iPhone via Lightning, so it's all cool. And I built this sunshade for the iPhone. It goes in there. This is a Xeon. I forget which version it is. But anyway, this is what I use for when I do live streaming and filming outside. It's been very, very effective. Now that setup, let me grab a drink here while I got you on the screen. That setup, I'll do a special video just to show you. That took me like about a year to develop. So I've been talking about it, so I wanted to do that. Show it to you. Nice rig. So Nathan says, sure looks like he's using Final Cut Pro and a Blackmagic Advanced panel to rig color in that photo, given the screen layout. Everything could just be for looks, though, I guess. Good question. But that also might be Final Cut Pro 10.6. Maybe 10.6. Maybe 10.6 supports Blackmagic panels. Maybe they got together and did their handshake to allow, let me turn this around a little bit, to allow, compatibility between the two. I don't use the panels, so I don't know. I didn't know that they weren't there. So let's do this. Look at that. It rings even after I pick it up. Yeah, this is Richard. Yes, we're on the air right now. Yes, we are. I will not. No, I won't say who you are. Don't worry. Have I ever done that? Have I ever told that? No, I have not. So the question is, we saw a version of Final Cut on screen, and it had Blackmagic control surfaces. Is Final Cut now going to work with that? Really? Well, that's certainly interesting. Now, the big question is, we know M1X or /M2 MacBook Pros are coming out later this year. We know that. That's not a surprise. I'm not getting that from you. I'm getting that from just general knowledge. We saw the M1X MacBook Pro M1X keywords that were inserted at the WWDC Apple video. They were there. So we know something was supposed to be perhaps shown, but it wasn't. So is that an October event? Is that a November event? Really? Huh. Okay. Now, in 2016, when you came out with the brand new MacBook Pro, the Touch Bar MacBook Pro, you also introduced a brand new version of Final Cut Pro, which at that time was 10.3. It was an Apple event, not a Final Cut Pro event. It was an Apple event, and Apple introduced a new version of Final Cut Pro at the new MacBook Pro event. Is that something that'll happen this year as well? Something like that? A new M1X 16-inch MacBook Pro and a new version of Final Cut Pro? I won't tell anybody. Don't worry. Nobody can hear you. Only I can hear you. But is that something that'll happen? That could happen this year? So we're waiting on the new version of Final Cut Pro. We're waiting on whatever the new version is with all the new features and stuff that we haven't got for a while. So please, let's get it out. I mean, I didn't expect in September, but October. If you're going to have two events, I presume you're only going to have one more event this year because you did the iPads today. Last year, you did the iPad in October and then the M1s in November. So maybe we're going to get an October event with the M1X, the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and a new version of Final Cut Pro, because you already talked about that today in the Apple event. They said you're going to need a new version of iMovie and Final Cut Pro in order to do that rack focusing thing in post with the new iPhone. So maybe it'll be 10.5 something or 10.6. It'll be one or the other, obviously. Well, we're waiting on 10.6. We want to see everything you guys and gals have been working on for the last couple of years. That's what we want. Anyway, as usual, thanks for calling in, and call in anytime we go live. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, there's our phone call for the day. So I heard some things that I cannot tell you, which is normally the case, right? It is. I think we've got all the videos covered. Let me just check and see. Is there any more? Oh, yeah, here's one more.
And this year, we're introducing a new 1 terabyte storage option. This is a great addition for our Pro iPhone users.
1 terabyte. That's what I'll be getting, especially if I'm shooting in ProRes. So right now, I got a 512 gigabyte. I never filled it up. I've gotten over 300 gigabytes, and then I take the videos off. If I'm shooting ProRes more, I have to be more diligent and get the videos off right after the shoot and then free up space. Nathan says 10.5.10. Whatever. I don't really care. I just want to, I'm expecting 10.6. That's what I've been saying for a while. We'll have to see if that's the case. I don't know if it's going to be for sure, but we'll have to see. So I'm going to see something here. What does that do? Add to broadcast. I already know that. I thought there was a way to... I'm looking at my comments. Add to broadcast. I don't see anything else. All right. Okay, so pretty exciting for me. The iPhone, the Apple event, did everything that I expected it to do. And the price point stayed the same. Some people were predicting that the iPhone was going to increase. Just chatted with Apple Tech Support. No white paper on ProRes video at this time. Thanks for checking that, Andres. Thank you for checking that. That could happen. Yeah, I'll be curious if it's exactly the same as the version on Mac OS. I'll be curious if that's the case. I don't know if it is for sure, but who the heck knows? So don't forget, go over there and subscribe, ring the notification bell over there at YouTube, Richard Taylor TV, Facebook, Richard Taylor TV. You know something? I'm going to check one thing real quick, because the last time, let me see, what is the name of that other Twitch? TWITCH. The last time I did a live stream, I was live, but after we finish the live. Oh, I can't do that. Let me see if I can see if I can search that. I didn't see if I was on Twitch. Yeah, I am. There we go. Yep. Very good. So that's cool. I wasn't sure because I didn't catch it last time. I didn't catch it, but there we are. We're on Twitch TV. I don't have any followers on there because I haven't built anything up there. But anyway, we're back over here. So we have improved cameras. That's great. Tech specs, overview. It looks like it's the same form factor as the iPhone 12 Pro Max. We'll have to see once we get it. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for stopping in. Don't forget to subscribe over there at YouTube. Yes, copy of that. Let me turn that off. What do you think? Do you think the ProRes version on the iPhone is going to be exactly the same as what's on the Mac? I have a feeling it's going to be something different, a lower bit rate. Perhaps, I don't know. It's not going to be HQ, obviously, or ProRes 4x4. And I don't think it's going to be LT because I think they would have said ProRes LT, but they said ProRes Video. ProRes Video. Just like the last time when they had Pro Raw. It's not ProRes Raw for the photographs. It was just Pro Raw. They changed it a little bit. Hi there, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm going to head out of here, I think. Philip Allen says, good comments today. Our listeners have the best comments. They always have. Let me just check one more thing. The other thing that's going on is, let me see what's going on. What's going on here? So the other thing is, what do you think about NAB? Time is it? 4 o'clock. Oh, I have to answer this one thing real quick. Let me just take care of business on one special thing that I have to take care of business on. And somebody's come up to buy some things, so I have to give them the address. Real quick. Copy. And there we go. So that was it. One of the questions is, why was it called California Streaming? There's no reference to anything streaming specifically, was there? No, there wasn't. But that's okay. They do that all the time. They have little words or twists or graphics and stuff that don't have any bearing on the actual event. So that's not unusual. Anyway, I'm going to head out of here, I think. I think we're done. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about, NAB, I have, let me pull this up. So I would be very surprised if NAB happens. I put this up Sunday morning. Some other people have put up articles after I put mine up, but I put mine up on Sunday morning. Pull this up here. So NAB 2021, nope. By nope, I mean a couple of things. Number one is I'm not planning on going. I was originally planning on going, but I'm not planning on going now. And listen, Canon, Panasonic, Ross Video, Sony have pulled out last week. And prior to that, Avid, Adobe, and Blackmagic Design also have pulled out. They also have pulled out. I don't know how they are going to survive. If they do, it's going to be a much smaller version. But the other weird thing is, if not next month, then at the 2022 NAB show in April. So they've announced that they're doing one in April, and they announced the dates, April the 27th, 23rd to the 27th, NAB 2022. So that doesn't help them get people to this version in 2021. But all these big people have gone. I mean, if Blackmagic's not going to be there, that's one of my favorite places to go, since Apple doesn't do much. So I'm not planning on going. My plans, I think I'll end up canceling them. I still have them, but it's easy to cancel. The other thing is, of course, let's go through here. The Final Cut Pro Global Summit. Free this year. Absolutely free. Let me pull this down over here. Sign up for free. Sign up for free. I don't think the program has been announced yet. Let me just check, but I don't think it has. Stay tuned for the 2021 program. You get a pretty good idea of what the program is based on last year. It'll be some of the same people, some of the same stuff, but that'll be coming up. The more information about that will be coming up. We'll be talking about it on Final Cut Pro Radio TV, FCP TV Live. Yari Innanen, my friend, Finland, thanks for tuning in, dear Laurie. I appreciate it. Thanks, Richard. Great as always. Torgrim Grimstad. Locations in video was all over California, so that's what you think was the streaming part. But they've done that in the past, haven't they? All their live videos that are virtual have been streaming from different places around California. It doesn't make any difference. I wasn't really expecting other than maybe something of a surprise. The only surprise was the iPad and the iPad mini now has USB-C, not the iPad. The iPad mini, which is more expensive than the generic iPad, now has USB-C support. See you all at the Global Summit. Absolutely, Yari. I will talk to you there as well. But the iPad mini has USB-C support, so you can hook up storage and stuff, and can you edit off of that or not? I presume, I was kind of wondering if the iPhone was going to do that since they switched to ProRes, maybe in a future version. Anyway, everyone, listen, I appreciate all the guys and gals that tune in. It keynotes motivation to keep doing these things. So I appreciate all of you. Give yourselves a round of applause, please, all of you. Let me see if I have. Oh, I don't have it. Never mind. I was going to get an applause thing going. I wasn't prepared for that one. Anyway, stop over FCP TV Live. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Richard Taylor TV. Go over there and subscribe. You'll be notified whenever we go live. If Apple has an October event, we'll do another one of these to get on. People can make comments right afterwards, like you everybody has today. If not, I'll see you at the next time I go live. The Apple event might be in October. They might have if they're not going to do one in November, Then they probably will do the 16-inch MacBook Pro and a new version of Final Cut Pro between now and October. It doesn't have to be tied into the event, but it could happen at any point. Whether it's 10.5 or whether it's 10.6, hopefully it has some update features for us. 10.6, if it's not 10.6, 10.6 is just pushed out a little further. But they're going to have some new features. The ability to rack focus after the fact with the new iPhone 13 is incredible. Don't you think? Don't you think? I think it is. Wasn't expecting that. I thought you just shoot it, blurry background, and that's what you get. But apparently that's not the case. Let me see if I have social media. Here we go. There we go. Here's my YouTube channel, youtube.com, Richard Taylor TV. Same with Facebook, same with Instagram, same with Twitter, and the same with Twitch TV. Let me see, pull up Twitch TV. Yeah, right there. We are on Twitch TV. I don't have any followers over there. I just don't. I just wanted to see if it was actually streaming, but it does. So that's pretty cool. So we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, and I am on, I think, Periscope still, right? Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. I will see you the next time we go